What is up, everyone? This is the Oklahoma Prepper, and for those of you that were watching the other live stream earlier, I do apologize. My sister is out of control, foul-mouthed, and a jerk, trolling my live streams. So, for those of you who haven't watched my the other live stream, today we're going to talk about what kind of preparations we need to do to prepare for severe weather. Anything from thunderstorms, thunderstorm watches, all the way up to tornado warnings. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Comment down below, let me know what kind of content you want to see in the future. And also, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on all my social media platforms. All the links are going to be down in the description below. I know that the lighting is not great. Again, I'm not in the house, the big house anymore. I am now in the shed, and the lighting is not that great back here because I only have an extension cord running out. Because I'm not, obviously, you see the studs right here. I haven't put insulation up, and I haven't ran conduit and run electricity out here yet. So yeah, so let me get the information. Just closed out. So let me get the website pulled up so that way I can get things going. So I do apologize that it's going to take a minute before I can get started actually on this part of the video. So bear with me, please. Actually, in the description, I will give you a link to skip forward to a certain amount of time. So check down below in the description. And as normally I do break off the normal I guess the subject that we're on, and I will go to chat. So at the end of the actual video, if you guys are watching our live, want to hang out and chat, that is absolutely fine. We will stream for a full hour, so it's 8:30. I do apologize because again, what time did I start? I checked at 7 and nobody was home. Actually, I was on. Oh, no, I start at 8. I do apologize, plant-based. I do start at 8. I stream for an hour, but the other live stream a minute ago, I was at my sister's house, and she was cussing a lot, and I don't usually do a lot of cussing in my, I personally cuss like a sailor, but I don't try not to let any cussing in my stream or on my videos. Oh man, yeah, she was just being all crazy about it too, and oh, she's aggravating. I love her to death, but yeah. Let's see. So what is the video topic? Today we are discussing what to prepare and how to prepare for severe weather, thunderstorm watches, thunderstorm warnings, tornado watches, tornado warnings, flash floods, all that kind of stuff. So this is something that obviously we from Oklahoma already know, but just in case, I do want to give you some other pointers, a little bit of advice because of some things that has happened before. Tornado season is coming quick. Wildland fire season is already here. So yeah. So today, okay. So First thing we're going to discuss is severe thunderstorm watches and what they are and how to prepare for them. And all right, so we are going to go ahead and start. So sorry about that, guys. I don't know if I lost y'all, but I'm in the shed. I haven't had my internet moved over yet, and I will do that as soon as possible, hopefully this week. So, a severe thunderstorm watch is issued by the National Weather Service when conditions are favorable for the development of severe thunderstorms in and close to the watch area. A severe thunderstorm, by definition, is a thunderstorm that produces 1-inch hail or larger in diameter and or winds equal or exceed 58 miles per hour. The size of the watch can vary depending on the weather situation. The severe weather of the excuse me, hang on. The size of the watch can vary depending on the situation. They are usually. Hey, what's up, Trying Surviving? Am I back plant based? They are usually issued for a duration of 4 to 8 hours. They are normally issued well in advance of the actual occurrence of severe weather. During the watch, people should. Okay. During the watch, people should review severe thunderstorm safety rules and be prepared to move to a place of safety if threatening weather approaches. A severe thunderstorm watch is issued by the Storm Protection Center. In our case, in Oklahoma, is in Norman, Oklahoma. Prior to the issuance of a severe thunderstorm watch, the SPC will usually contact the affected local National Weather Service forecast office. Again, ours in Oklahoma is the National Weather Service office in Norman. Must be on the other side of the state. Let me check the live. Sorry, guys, hang on. Let's see. The National Weather Service Forecast Office will discuss what their current thinking is on the weather situation. Afterwards, the SPC will issue a preliminary severe thunderstorm watch, and then the affected National Weather Service Forecast Office will then just adjust the watch, adding or eliminating counties or parishes, depending on where you are. In the state of Oklahoma, we have counties, and then issue to the public by way of watch redefining statement. During the watch, the National Weather Service Forecast Office will keep the public informed on what is happening in the watch area and also let the public know when the watch has expired or has been canceled. Severe thunderstorm watch basically means that the conditions are favorable for a severe thunderstorm. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's imminent, but there is a potential for that to happen. Sorry, she brought food in and didn't bring me any. All right, thunderstorm warning. This is issued when. Okay, let's step back and go to what should we do in the event of a thunderstorm watch. In the event of a thunderstorm watch, when a watch has been issued for you or your county, you want to prepare to take action for that watch, whether it be get your bug out bag, your food, your potential shelter. You know, if you have sleeping bags, stuff like that. You may want to get your bug out bag and your gear ready to bug out into your storm shelter. Or if you're like me, you're going to go storm chasing. So that's one thing that you want to take into consideration, that the conditions are favorable for a thunderstorm to happen. It doesn't mean that it's going to. In fact, you can actually, thunderstorm watches can actually be discontinued if that area of weather is actually moved out of your local area. So that meaning that you may not see a cloud in the sky, and they may just cancel the warning or the watch because the conditions have deteriorated for the watch. So be really be really aware of the potential for these thunderstorm watches to advance into warnings. Um, and my advice on these watches is to actually heed them as warnings. Um, you may not the in these watches they will tell you whether or not there will be a high, low, or significant or no chance of tornadoes. Um, However, the gust fronts off of these things can be completely insane and can and have torn roofs off of houses, porches off of your house, stuff like that. Um, so be very careful about stuff like that. All right, now, severe thunderstorm warning is issued when either a severe thunderstorm is indicated by the Weather Service radar, or a spotter reports a thunderstorm producing hail 1 inch or larger in diameter and or winds equal or exceeding 58 miles per hour. Therefore, people in the affected area should seek safe shelter immediately. Severe thunderstorms can produce tornadoes with little or no advance warning. Lightning frequency is not a criteria for issuing a severe thunderstorm warning. They are usually issued for a duration of 1 hour, and they can be issued without severe thunderstorm watch already being in effect. So, for example, if you have the potential for severe weather happening in your area, they may not issue a severe thunderstorm watch. They may just go straight into severe thunderstorm warning. And usually, on your local news stations, um, they will break regular programming and go with an emergency live broadcast. Like a tornado warning, the severe thunderstorm warning issued by your National Weather Service office is issued by the National Weather Service office. The severe thunderstorm warnings will include where the storm is located, what towns will be affected by the severe thunderstorm, and the primary threat associated with the severe thunderstorm warning. If the severe thunderstorm warning will affect near shore or coastal waters, which we really don't have to worry about that, it will be issued as a combined product, severe thunderstorm warning and special marine warning. If the severe thunderstorm warning is also causing torrential rains, this warning may also be combined with a flash flood warning. If there is an ampersand symbol at the top or of at the top if there is an ampersand symbol at the bottom of the warning, it indicates that the warning was issued as a result of a severe weather report. After it has been issued, the affected National Weather Service Forecast Office will follow it up periodically with severe weather statements. These statements will contain updated information on the severe thunderstorm, and they will also let the public know when the warning is no longer in effect. So, what should you do when a tornado or a severe thunderstorm warning is issued? Uh, Basically, a severe thunderstorm warning means that spotters have detected a severe thunderstorm, have seen physically a severe thunderstorm, or the Doppler radar has indicated a severe thunderstorm. Um, the potential with these things is winds beginning at 58 miles per hour. So you could see quite a bit of damage with that. Anything from your lawn furniture that is not um, tied to the ground. For example, those plastic lawn chairs that I have a million of will be probably across town, if not in your neighbor's yard. Um, you will see potential for um, trees and limbs to be broken or knocked over. You will also see the potential for some light structures such as barns, sheds, porches, and even manufactured homes be pushed over off of their foundation or completely blown away. The hail is the most important thing, the most dangerous thing to me, because you can do a lot of damage. Um, it can bust out your windows and in your house, your any other structures, and even in your vehicles. So hail is the number one threat for me when it comes to severe thunderstorm warnings. I usually, if I ever when I have a vehicle, I usually tend to try to do some kind of protecting for it. So, what should you do in the event as far as taking shelter? you may want to actually consider taking shelter in a severe thunderstorm warning, because again, like I said, if you live in a manufactured home, your home could be pushed off of the blocks, off of the foundation, and you could get a lot of damage to the home that way, as well as you can actually get really hurt in a situation like that. Your roof could be ripped off of your house. Things can fly through the windows. Trees can fall, be blown over, and fall through your roof. And that's not something I really want to hear about. So, I really want to make sure everybody's safe. And the whole point is for of this channel is to help make you all safe. So. Let's see, severe thunderstorms. A severe thunderstorm that produces a tornado, winds of at least 58 miles per hour, and or hail at least 1 inch in diameter. Structural wind damage may imply the occurrence of a severe thunderstorm, a thunderstorm with equal to or greater than 40-mile-an-hour winds and hail at least 1/2 inches in diameter is defined as approaching severe. There's something on here. There's something that I've noticed that is not actually on this list, and that is strong storms or strong thunderstorms. A strong thunderstorm is, you can categorize it in the same ballpark as a severe thunderstorm warning. However, it is not a warning. It's just advising you there are strong storms in the area, and the winds are up to 40 miles per hour. Once that 40 mile an hour threshold is broken, and they go into severe. Tornado watch. This is issued by the National Weather Service when conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes in and close to the watch area. Their size can vary depending on the weather situation. They are usually issued for a duration of 4 to 8 hours. They are normally issued well in advance of the actual occurrence of the severe weather. During the watch, people should review tornado safety rules and be prepared to move to a place of safety if threatening weather approaches. A tornado watch is issued by the Storm Prediction Center. In our case, again, Norman, Oklahoma. In the Panhandle, it would be out of Amarillo. And in Tulsa area will be the National Weather Service out of Tulsa. That will be in the northeastern part of the state. Prior to the issuance of a tornado watch, the SPC will usually contact the affected local area National Weather Service forecast office, and they will discuss what their current thinking is on the weather situation. Afterwards, the SPC will issue a preliminary tornado watch and then the affected National Weather Service office will then adjust the watch according to adding or eliminating counties, and then issue to the public. After adjusting the watch, the National Weather Service will let the public know which counties are included by way of watch redefining statement. During the watch, the National Weather Service will keep public informed on what is happening in the watch area, and also let the public know when the watch has expired or been canceled. What do you do in the event that there is a tornado watch issued for your area? This is when it's time to really consider getting your bug out bag and your gear in the shelter and ready to go yourself. If you have let's see, if you have extra, power banks, I do have one right here on the floor right next to me. If you do have extra power banks, they are awesome to have. This one is a solar powered power bank. Thank you, Plant Based Outdoors. The Amazon gift card, this is what you got me. Thank you, I love it. Solar powered power bank. It's dead right now. Has a flashlight on it. It's pretty awesome. Solar powered power banks are the best bet. I do have this one, and I do have another one that is not solar powered, and they're good for, this one is good for about a charge and a half maybe, and the other one I have is good for 2 charges. Another thing to keep to consider is if you have a booster box in your car, or a jumper box in your car, that's something that you want to make sure that it's charged up and in the house, and you can actually take that down to the storm shelter with you in case your power banks die. You can actually plug from a car charger adapter into the power bank. So, but make sure it does have a car charger adapter, because you don't want to get the wrong power bank or the wrong battery box, and you just have jumper cables down there. So some actually have flashlights built in and radios and even weather radios built in. So that's something to take into consideration. If you have, like for me, for example, my bug out bag is in the living room of the big house, not in here. But I do need to get it out and bring it back here and go through it and show you guys a video of that. But yes, I love them. They're awesome, plant-based. So if you don't have your your bug out bag in your storm shelter, that's when it's time to actually start putting stuff down in your storm shelter. Yes, I know it's a pain if the watch is just canceled or you may not get anything until it passes and hits the next county. But at least you were prepared. I'd rather have everything there and not needed than have everything needed to be there and not in there. And now I'm having to struggle to find everything. So that's when you need to start taking your precautions. And before we go into tornado, what a tornado warning is, I do want to also go in depth more about what you need to prepare for when you're getting ready to go into a storm shelter. Make sure that you have family that does not live in, friends or family that does not live in the area. Make sure you tell them, hey, I'm going into the storm shelter. And that way, if something happens, for example, if your storm shelter is in the basement of your house, or if your storm shelter is very close to your house, then if a tornado does come and knocks debris over the door of the house, then you can expect to have hopefully someone to be able to come out there and find you. Another thing is, again, like I said, you want to keep as much of your electronics, your cell phone. Sometimes towers do go down. If you have a radio, a little two-way radio, the Walmart ones are fine. Sometimes law enforcement, emergency management agencies will have those frequencies programmed into their radios. That way, if something happens, then they can actually hear the call out for help. So make sure you have some kind of alternative source for communications other than your cell phone. Another thing is this is the time that if you have a storm shelter, you do want to get it registered with your city. To let them know where it is in relation to your house, in relation to a fixed point on your property. For example, if you have a telephone pole in or near your property, you want to tell them exactly, hey, it's 100 feet southeast of the telephone pole. That way, once they get there and see that the property is leveled and there's debris covering your storm shelter, that way they can map out 100 feet southwest of your of the telephone pole and be able to find you that way. Because there were incidents in Oklahoma City a couple of years ago where several people were trapped in their storm shelters after a tornado had gone through. And in some cases, the storm shelter actually flooded. Their storm shelter actually flooded after flash floods have come in and dropped significant amounts of water. Unfortunately, some people were drowned and killed in that flash flood. There was other cases actually where the storm shelter actually the storm shelter cavity in the ground actually flooded, and the shelter was able to float. The concrete shelter was actually able to float up above the ground. So that kind of defeats the purpose. A lot of people are going with safe rooms. That to me is not something I would ever consider. For example, and this is why, if a tornado was to knock your house down or destroy your house, and somehow something was to catch fire, then you are trapped in that safe room because of um, falling debris is blocking the doorway of that safe room, and now your house is on fire, and basically you've turned your safe room into an oven that you are now trapped in. So that is another thing that is, I would really, they may be cheaper, but is it really worth, I mean, there's certain things you got to really consider. Um, I would have an underground shelter before I ever had a safe room. So that's me personally. Not something that everyone has to really consider, but it's something to think about. So yeah, plant based. It's really good to have your shelter registered with at least the fire department. That way, they know where your shelter is when, excuse me, when a tornado does damage your area. Hi, Kaylin. How are you? Welcome to the stream. Sorry I haven't got a chance to say hi to everyone. I've been trying to get this subject quickly put off, quickly put out there so that I can go ahead and start hanging out and chat with you guys. Tornado warning. Tornado warning is issued when a tornado is indicated by radar or sighted by trained storm spotters. Therefore, people in the affected area should seek safe shelter immediately. They can be issued without tornado watch being already in effect. They are usually issued for a duration of around 30 minutes. Tornado warning is issued by your local National Weather Service office. It will include where a tornado was located, what, excuse me, I've got something in my eye. I always have something in my eye every time I go on live. It will include where the tornado is located and what towns will be affected in its path. If the tornado will affect near shore or coastal waters, it will be issued as a combined product, tornado warning, and special marine warning. If the thunderstorm which is causing the tornado is also producing torrential rains, this warning may be accompanied by a flash flood warning. If there was an ampersand symbol, that's a little kind of and sign symbol at the bottom of the warning, it indicates that the warning was issued as a result of a severe weather report. After it was issued, the affected Weather Service office will follow it up periodically with weather statements, severe weather statements. These statements will contain updated information on the tornado, and they will also let the public know when the warning is no longer in effect. When a tornado warning is issued, normally you'll get public alerts. You may get public alerts. I'm not going to say you will. You may get public alerts on your phone to warn you that there is a tornado warning in effect for your area. If you live in a town where tornado sirens are available, they will sound the tornado sirens, and it could be as simple as just a long wail. It could be a high-low wail like a normal police car siren, or it will actually, in some newer tornado sirens, they will issue tones followed by a message saying a tornado warning is in effect for this area. The message could actually differ from city to city or community to community, but if there's severe weather in the area and tornado sirens go off, and you're not sure, take shelter. A tornado. What is a tornado? Is a violently rotating column of air, usually pendant to a cumulonimbus, with circulation reaching the ground. It always starts with a funnel. It nearly always starts as a funnel cloud and may be accompanied by a loud roaring noise. On a scale, it is the most destructive of all the atmospheric phenomena. I've heard that tornadoes can sound like a freight train running by. I've never been that close to a tornado, so I really can't tell you. I've heard it also sounding like a lion's roar. Again, I've never been uh, close enough to a tornado to hear. So again, guys, storm season is basically here, and I hope you guys take this information. I will be posting a link to where I'm getting this information in the comments, or not in the comments, but in the description down below. So please check that out if, at the end of this video. Um, Also, let's see, what else can we do? Let's see, make sure, of course, being a prepper, you might want to have plenty of water, food, and other supplies stocked up in your shelter. As if you live in a larger area, such as Oklahoma City, um, you want to keep at least a couple of days worth of food, water, and I hate to say this, but you might want to keep a poop bucket down there too, because there is a chance that you could be down there for days, and you want to try to stay as clean and healthy as possible. So make sure you take yes, try and surviving. That is awesome idea. Make sure you keep your meds with you as well. Meds, any important documents, papers, social security cards, birth certificates, all that information that pretty much have your identity, um, medical records, any kind of things. Um, you might want to keep that in with you in a file. That way you can just grab it and go. Take it downstairs, down in the shelter with you as well. Let's see, food, water, clothing, baby wipes or bath towels in a bag. I think that's what they call them. Yeah, they have these little towels that are in a bag like wet wipes, but it's just one big towel. I can't remember. I think it's called a bath in a bag. But anyways, you might want to make sure you keep that kind of stuff there down there too in your bug out bag or down in the storm shelter as well. That way, in the event that something does happen, you can be able to clean up a little bit. So let's see. I think that's going to do it for now, unless anybody has any Epic wipes or the new version of the giant wet wipe. I will. That's a good one. Thank you, Kaylin. I will do a search for that as well. Um, I will post a link I will post a link in the description to the Weather Service website where I've got this information. That way you can go over it yourself and read it again. And it will also have, actually I am going to go over flash flooding as well. So ICU 8, again, we know you like turtles. Let's see. Let's go into flash floods, warnings, and watches. We'll just kind of go over it all at once. Basically, a flash flood warning is issued to inform the public and emergency management and other cooperating agencies that flash flooding is in progress, imminent, or highly likely. Basically, what flash flooding is when all of a sudden a torrential downpour comes and is significantly way too fast to be able for the ground to absorb, and it just collects and it floods certain areas. If you are out on the road driving and you are approached by a tornado, it is advised to get out of the vehicle, stop your vehicle, get out, go a significant distance away from your vehicle so that the vehicle isn't thrown on top of you, and lay down in flat in a ditch alongside of the road. Hey, Weetree, put him in timeout. Put ICU in timeout or whatever. We don't do trolls. Thank you. Hi, Weetree. Welcome. So one thing I disagree about laying in a ditch with tornadoes imminent. Flash flooding for one. Number two, 90% of the time you're on a road, there is most likely power lines near, either directly above that ditch or Um, close enough. And one thing that really worries me is that if a tornado does come into the area and knocks a power line down, that power line is most likely to fall in the area where that water is. And then, you getting out and going into a ditch is all for nothing because, you just got shocked. You got electrocuted to death. So it's really something that I would really consider. Make sure that if you are in an area, you are away from power lines. Also, again, structures. If you're near structures, barns, sheds, stuff like that, trees, they can be, they can, um, uh, all that stuff can be blown on top of you and hurt you. So please be aware of flooding. There was actually, I believe, Vegas. Is it Vegas where they have the tunnels? The underground cities in Vegas. A lot of homeless people go down there and just live there. And they actually, yes, I will get to that. Remind me, trying surviving. But they actually, I believe that they ended up putting a alarm system under the tunnels to indicate flooding, so that whenever I highly doubt it sounds like a train going over a bad track switch. I know. I'm messing. But anyways, what's up, Squid? Flood tunnels in Vegas, yes, they do. Do they have alarm systems, flood alarms in there now to alert the people that are in there, living in there, to get out? Because I think they got tired of people getting killed out there and those things, so they ended up putting, um, uh, train. Everybody hears it on the stream. I don't know if y'all can hear the roar, but apparently that's what a tornado sounds like. But yeah, so stay away from tunnels, stay out of bridges, out from under bridges. Bridges, people are, there's even this thing on Facebook where there are people that are saying, why haven't we put storm shelters under bridges? Bridges are not designed to withstand uh, uh, tornadoes. They they have wind tunnel effect, and tornadoes. The winds under the bridges can be basically amplified by the bridge, and in some cases, bridges actually can collapse. Bridge. I don't care what you've seen on YouTube, on whatever. This is a fact from the National Weather Service, and any weather person that you ever talk to. I'm a storm chaser. I'm a storm spotter. I'm a certified storm spotter, um, trained by the National Weather Service. There are no such thing as tornado-proof bridges. Don't ever assume that you can hide under a bridge in a tornado. Um, there's a reason that um, storm shelters, tornado probes, tornado vehicles are all designed the way they are. And if you've seen those storm chasing shows, um, the vehicles that they drive into tornadoes in actually have the ability to drop to lower down onto the ground, and that keeps air from getting under them to lift the vehicle up and toss it. And that's what a majority of the damage is from the lack of, what is it called? The lack of aerodynamics. That's what it is. The lack of aerodynamics. If wind can get under a flat object, it will lift it and carry it. If an object, for example, a barn is flat walled on one side, that wind is going to push up against it and not be able to go over it carefully. Like, for example, I don't know if you guys have, ironically, ICU A or ICUB, whatever, talking about turtles. The first successful tornado probe was done by, who was that storm chaser that was killed in Twist X? Doctor. Help me out, guys. Who was that storm chaser that was killed in Oklahoma City a couple years ago? Um, he was a really he was a huge important part of the meteorological society. He actually produced the first actual tornado. Dr. Tim Samaras. Yeah, Tim Samaras. Um, he actually was able to produce the first successful tornado probe, and he called it a turtle. And that had the shape of basically kind of like a cone that would lay flat um, on the ground, and the winds would actually go over it easily. And the reason for the National Weather Service um, probes that were not successful, for example, Toto, that were not successful, is because the aerodynamics was completely all wrong, and of course the technology there back then in the 80s was so the technology was so early that everything, again, 1980s computers were basically the size of a living room or something. So uh, that's another thing to really consider, and that's where these plans for these storm shelters under bridges are absolutely useless because they're not aerodynamically correct. So I think that's going to do it for this, guys, on this stream on the subject. We've got about 20 minutes, so I will hang out and chat with you guys, and we'll talk some more. So those of you that are here just for the prepping for severe weather part of it, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I do try to do live streams every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. Sometimes it may be a little bit later, and I do apologize for that because I have so much going on with today helping my sister. So those of you that are getting out of here now, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe button. I appreciate you guys watching. Stay safe and keep prepping. And for those of you that are going to stay here and hang out with me and chat, what is up, everybody? Finally, sterile urine time. Oh, come on, Weetree. So I'm going to go through and say hi to everyone because I did not get a chance to do that. Trying surviving. I'm going to start all over. Plant-based outdoors, trying surviving. Land Run, hey, how's it going, buddy? Hawaii Volcano, I didn't get to say hi to you. What's up? Thanks for coming in, guys. Hey, Kyle, where's Jacqueline? She not gonna hang out and watch? Or is she with you and just not talking? Kaylin, how are you doing? Welcome. Let's see, Weetree. Weetree, Kaylin, you guys are my mods, and White Volcano Squad. They are my wrenches. Oh, she's at work. Okay. They are my wrenches. As you saw from the troll, they're not afraid to throw wrenches. So those of you who are trying to troll, not gonna happen. I think I know who that is, and he just won't tell me. It is Thompson. Yeah, I think it's Thompson because he's a troll like that. So how is everyone doing? How is the weather where you're at? Plant-based? I guarantee you wait a little bit. Crotch rot. Oh man, plant-based outdoors. Kyle, we did some, before I was starting to do live streams before I was able to do live streams on my channel, I was I was on live stream with Oily's Humble Home, aka the Oily Prepper. And we did it every week at this time, actually. We did, her show was called The Prepper's Powwow. And we would talk about personal hygiene, and sometimes, we'd get together and just, our entire panel is just out of control. Hawaii was on the panel, Squibload was on the panel. See who else? Mouse Toes and Oily, and of course me. So somebody would, be like, hey, you don't want crotch rot. And then we'd have hashtags for every stream. And there was one, unfortunately, I made the stupid comment of talking. I made the stupid decision to actually talk. And we would talk about, like we were talking about, I think, urine being sterile. And that's where hashtag sterile urine came from. hashtag crotch rot. I don't even remember what the hashtags were. But if you get a chance, go through and check out those live streams, and you will laugh your butt off like crazy. I promise you that. So check those streams out. Plant based. Also, another thing. For those of you that are in Oklahoma, we are under a new thing. It's actually, I don't know if it's new, but this is very rarely seen in the weather and fire industry, and it is a dry fuel advisory. So basically, the dry fuel advisory means that it's not a burn ban, it's not a red flag, it's not a watch. It basically is saying, hey, if something gets caught on fire out there, that fire is gone. And it really is just absolutely, it takes off. So for those of you that have lots of property, I do want to advise you, if you do have a lot of farmland or if you do have a lot of pasture land, for example, Oily, I know she does, there are certain precautions that you absolutely should take to possibly protect against wildland fires destroying your home and property. You can plow your fields, keep your grass mowed down very low. I got cows right in the middle of it. Yeah, well, let's see, Hawaii banned trash burning without a permit. Some people actually, like my town, which is stupid, it actually now requiring that you buy a permit to burn. And that's a $10 permit. Even if you have a fire pit or if you want to burn some trash, you have to have a $10 permit. And I think it's dumb. So basically, here's the deal, guys. Wildfire is very dangerous. You want to try to keep your gutters clean of any flammable debris such as leaves and pine needles, grass, stuff like that. I don't know how grass can get up there, but I'm sure it could happen. You want to make sure that if you do have a deck or a porch, if you do have a lot of trees around, you want to keep your leaves raked and away from the structure. I believe zone 1 is 10 feet immediately around your structure. Zone 2 is 30, and zone 3 is 50 feet away from your structure. But just for safekeeping, make sure your zone 3 is actually extended to 100 feet. You want to have 100 feet of radius around your house. You don't really want low-lying branches on your trees. You don't want tall grasses. You don't want wood piles. You don't want piles of rubbish. Hey, I just took my barn down and I've got a pile of wood that's just out there. You don't want that stuff near your house. If possible, go out to the dollar store and buy like 5 or 6 $5 lawn sprinklers. They don't have to be expensive, and buy a lot of rolls of garden hose if you have quite a bit of property. If you're in an area where a very rural area where there's not a lot of fire hydrants nearby, if you do have a water cistern, some kind of water cistern, you want to try to maybe upgrade it, make it bigger, waterproof. That way you can help protect your property. And once you get the water hose and water sprinklers, you want to put them around your property. WeTree says sprinklers on the roof is a good thing. WeTree, it is absolutely an amazing thing to have. In fact, my roof is metal. I'm not really too worried about it, but I will be putting a PVC line across the eaves, the peak of the house. I will be putting a PVC line and hard plumbing in water sprinklers to, because there's a fire hydrant right up the road on my corner. But, during the day, any small town volunteer fire department is going to have trouble getting a response during the day because these guys are volunteers. These are not paid firefighters. They are not required to stay in town or in the station all the time. These guys have daily lives. They get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to work. They're stuck there for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever, and then they come home. There's a chance at any time during the week, during any day of the week, you will get a very, very slim, if any, response from any fire department during the day. That is not an exaggeration. That is absolute fact. I was a firefighter in several small, in not only in this town as well as another town. Um, so, firefighters, I would be the only one there, and I could wait for 20 minutes. And I would, before another firefighter showed up, I would have to call on the radio. I'd have to get dispatcher to tone out another fire department from 10 miles away to see if they had anybody to come out and fight fire. Eventually, somebody would show up, but 10 minutes of 20-mile-an-hour winds and fire conditions like this, your property's gone. So you got to really take that into consideration. Land Run says, I had a big fire for me a few years back. It took 2 hours for them to get here. There's a lot of reasons for that. Land Run, they could be, what is the normal now? What is the normal for what, Weetree? There's a lot of reasons for that 2 hour response. It could be that they are on another side of the fire trying to attack the flanks, and you being at the head, putting firefighters on the head of the fire. What is normal now? There's no such thing as normal for volunteer fire departments. It varies. Normal for cities is about 4 minutes from the time the 911 call goes in to the time that the first truck rolls out of the station is about 4 minutes. So just in the 911 call alone is about 4 minutes average. So so you really have to take into consideration that these guys are fighting the fire, but they're not on the head of the fire. They're on the flanks, and it's very dangerous to put a fire crew on the head of the fire. If they are not in the black, they are not in the burned area. They become the fuel of that fire, and that's when you get firefighters hurt or killed and fire trucks lost. So it is really something that you really don't want to, really play with. Stay in the black, yes. Attack from the black. If you're a firefighter, you know what that means. So it could be like you said, Land Run, my place is hard to get around on canyons. Apparently, Land Run has a bunch of canyons around his property. That makes a fire, that makes initial attack way difficult. That's when you need to start taking things into your own hands. And if you have, in Australia, for example, their wildland fires are just insane. I've seen videos of their stuff, and I'm telling you guys, I thought we've had bad fires, but I've seen the fires that these guys fight. We can have the same grass, the same size grass, and we get 10-foot flame length. They can have the same size grass and get 20, 25-foot flame length. So their stuff is a lot different from ours. Have a good night, trying surviving. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching and chatting with us. Those guys have it really rough, but they do have so much different equipment than us. They have so much different skill, and they have what is called a burnover protection system. And their system is just this little sprinkler system around their vehicles that if they get caught in a burnover, then they can activate that sprinkler system and potentially and actually have significantly saved their fire trucks and several fire department firefighter lives for that burn over protection system, and it's amazing. And a lot of these people that live out in the bush, out in the country in Australia, do have their own fire protection systems. They have their own fire trucks. They have their own um, pumping areas. They have their own skid units, you know, all that stuff, and they do stay and protect their own houses. Um, Weetree says fire tornadoes. Fire tornadoes are, they can be very dangerous. They are normally associated with the direct fire line. They very rarely go outside of the fire line and actually, you know, there is a video of someone being chased into the water from a fire tornado. That happened. That can happen. It is very unlikely. A lot of things have to happen perfectly for that to happen. So, and they rarely get that big. But those things can be very deadly and very dangerous. And if something like that was to happen, there's no burn over protection system that's going to help. So, sweet tea. Gotta love it. Homesteadonomics did a fantastic video on making a portable unit for fighting fires on his place. I believe I saw that. So if you guys are interested in building your own skid unit, it doesn't take much. If you have, you know, plant-based outdoors, I know you're very skilled at doing all that kind of stuff. So if you had, you know, anything from a couple of pieces of square tubing, some really heavy-duty stuff, you can make a good skid unit with that. It doesn't have, you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on a fire unit. A homemade skid unit, one of those plastic barrels, plastic water things that everybody's using for their water. That would be great to have. 55-gallon drum barrels, if you can get enough. You can get them pretty much a dime a dozen. I mean, literally, you can get them for about $5 a piece and plumb them all together. And make yourself a good firefighting tank, and go out and fight some good fire with it. Get you a little bit of flexible, maybe 1 inch or maybe 1 or inch and a half hose, and put it plumb it from the tanks into the fire pump, and from the pump you can plumb it directly to a garden hose. Or if you can get some booster line, get you some red booster line. That would be a big help. You're gonna go through a lot more water, but anything to help, anything to bring the moisture up. You can even use a shower head. In fact, wildland fire nozzles have a little valve. You can turn it, go from a straight stream, I believe it's a 1/4 inch stream, all the way to a shower head stream. And that is what we use to fight wildland fires. And it actually does help out quite a bit. It's a very, very useful tool. So you can get some appliances, anything from going to the dollar store and getting, you know, brass, one of them old-fashioned twisty nozzles where you twist it for a straight stream or fog pattern. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but make sure you get some good appliances for anything. Hawaii Volcano Squaw says super soakers. You know what? I've seen firefighters use not necessarily water guns, but some type of water gun, whether it be homemade or whether it be some type of firefighting appliance. Indian cans, I've seen those things being used. Leaf blowers, you push the fire back over into the black, into the burned area, and you can extinguish quite a bit of fire with that. Make sure you're on a flank though. You don't want to be on a head end of a fire doing that. Anything from water bombs, like water balloons. Hawaii, you talking about water balloons? I'm sure water balloons will work. But you can even get you a little weed sprayer and fill that thing up with water and go along the fire line. Hey, I'm sure water balloons will work. Get you a little weed sprayer, pump it up, a little 5-gallon weed sprayer, 3-gallon, whatever. Even the backpack ones, I fought a lot of fire with those things, and they work. Anything to bring the moisture of the ground or the fuel up will do amazing results. You know, even if it just slows the fire down. So, if you guys are firefighters and you're still watching this, for any of you or any of you that know firefighters, uh, just put a bug in their ear. Let them know that if you call the Forestry Service, it will not cost you anything. They eat that cost. They can spend they can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a wildfire. They eat that money. They are the ones that eat that cost. They don't charge you. If my fire department was to call the Forestry Service for a wildfire, my department would not get charged. So that's something you really want to take into consideration. Um, Always call them and not call them. It's always for them. It's always great for them to be called and not needed, yet needed and not called. So that's something to take in consideration. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. We've been on here for a little over an hour. So I do appreciate you guys, every one of you that stopped in to watch this show. And for those of you who did watch the first stream, I do apologize. My sister is a nutball. I love you, sister, but you're a nutball. So again, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. For those of you who are new to the channel, if you're still watching, hit that like button, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys want to see on future videos, and check out the links in the description down below to follow me on social media. And again, the link will be in the description for the website that I used for the first part of the chat. Hawaii, thanks a lot, you guys. Have a good night. Weetree, thank you. Trying to survive. And everybody, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys being in the chat with me, hanging out, and all kinds of good stuff. So many good thoughts and prayers and blessings for everyone. Thanks a lot, Plant Based Outdoors. You take care. Land Run, have a good night, everyone. Stay safe and keep prepping.